Where do you find God? Almost sounds like a loaded question, doesn't it? I mean, if God was someone you could find, wouldn't everyone be out searching? Well, rather than looking for something elusive, like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, I reckon it's more about learning to recognise the way God is already present to us in our everyday lives. I'm Lizzie Oakes, and this is Where Do You Find God? My guest on the podcast today is Katie Rickson. Now, Katie is a creative soul. She's a writer and an editor, and she's someone who lives with bipolar. Katie, welcome to Where Do You Find God?
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Hey, so Katie, you and I have only just met recently. What do you like to do for fun?
I really like improv and acting and
Oh my gosh,
being on stage.
I love improv. Do you do it?
I haven't done it for a while, but I'm going to get back into it. I just love playing.
Yeah,
and
making it up
creating
as you go
characters
along.
and making it go along.
That's hilarious. I know this isn't about me, this podcast is about you, but I've literally had that thought recently thinking, I think I need to go to an improv class.
Just the whole thinking on your feet and
No rules.
no rules. And I bring that into when I tell stories to my daughter as well. I create the voices and really go ham it up.
Yeah, I used to do all of that when my son was little. That's so cool. I know creativity, it's a real gift from God, isn't it?
Yeah,
and we can have fun with it and we don't need to stay inside the lines.
that's right.
Love it. Katie, in Acts chapter 17, verse 27, it says, God intended that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. So my question for you today, Katie, is where do you find God?
I find him in creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I find him in music. I went to a concert last night and it was a really spiritual experience. I felt like this feels like church. And I don't know if the artist is a Christian, but it felt really...
Who was that?
Teddy Swims.
He's got a great voice, hasn't he?
Beautiful voice. The music was so diverse and the way that he presented himself on stage, he was so kind. He was signing all people's hats on the front row and he was keeping an eye out for the crowd to make sure nobody was hurt, or he would stop kind of run of the songs to make sure, that person needs to get out. I just found it quite healing to listen to his music and see him perform.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm with you on creativity, God being there. What is it about creativity that the way you find God in that space for you?
God's such a creative God. And I find I can channel God through poetry and hear from God when I am creating. It's a sense of trying to make sense of his world and nature and struggle, and he's got his hand in all of that.
Yeah. How for you, as somebody living with bipolar, where's God in that for you and your health and your wellness?
When I was really unwell, I had racing thoughts and unable to sleep. But I remember this moment with crystal clarity. I got this sentence and I convinced that it was from God, and it was something beautiful will come from this. And I felt his promise. And even though I still was unwell and I didn't get better for some time, I still clung to that hope and that promise. And so whilst I don't recommend suffering and struggle, to know that he's in there during those times is a great solace to me.
And have you experienced that something beautiful?
Yes.
Yeah.
I keep on experiencing it.
What does that look like for you?
I think it's the ability to tell my story, and it's the connections that I've made through that story. Without fail, there's always somebody that comes up after they've heard me speak and say, thank you so much for sharing. And, I've had a family member with bipolar and I've really struggled to understand them, and you've helped me see them in a new light for the first time. And I find that really powerful. But that's God, like, speaking through me.
There's something about speaking our truth that draws people to us, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, reading Psalms and seeing that the lament is part of it, is the struggle and the sorrow is all part of it.
Yeah. We don't always hear that though, do we? It's like, you know, living your best life and all this, but it's like, okay, so what when you are unwell, you're dealing with something, you've just lost a loved one, where is God in that?
Yeah.
And the Psalms is just a lot of heartbreak and a lot of pain being poured out.
Yeah. My home group studied Job earlier this year, and I also thought it was a lesson in not just how to be with suffering yourself, but how your friends should be with you through suffering.
Yeah.
And how they tried their best, but they kind of got it wrong in a lot of respects. Like, they were focused on the sin and the judgment, whereas I think God calls us to have that solidarity, to sit with people and just hold space and not try and fix people, but, you know, that real kind of empathy and compassion of, you know, that servant song, let me be as Christ to you, let me, I can't remember the lyrics, but it's about being with each other and walking
That's everything,
together.
isn't it?
Yeah.
People can sometimes say when hard times, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything, right?
No.
You just be there and you don't judge and you give space and you accept people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You and I, you know, we only met recently and in another interview and where we talked about bipolar and, you know, we have this shared experience. You had your child not as long ago as me, maybe 9 years ago.
Yeah, 9.
And for me it's 21. But we just had this shared experience of, and we both hate that word, but I'm just going to say it anyway, postnatal psychosis. Went through a bit of that. It was just round childbirth really that I was unwell and that extreme mania of high and low and oh my gosh, not sleeping and you just think you're losing the plot. So hard. And yet that was 21 years ago for me. And Katie, you're the first person I've ever met that I've been able to have this conversation with, you know, off air and go, oh yeah, I remember that. Gee, it was hard. Like, it's so good to actually have that. Do you feel like there's quite a bit of shame around bipolar that people don't want to talk about it?
Yeah, there's still a lot of stigma, and I think having, you know, attaching the word disorder onto it.
Yuck. Hate that word.
And it used to be worse because it used to be called, you know, manic depressive.
Yes.
And all that kind of stigmatizing, heavy medical language, it just sounds scary. So being able to talk about it and being able to say, hey, yes, I've been through this, but there is another side.
Yeah.
There is light and there is hope. Just to be able to cling to that. And, you know, the depths can be really, really low and the highs can be really high.
Yeah.
But that you also can experience wellness. And
even though you wouldn't wish this upon anyone, just like my experience, I wouldn't wish upon anyone. Is there something about it that you're actually thankful for?
Yeah.
What's that?
I think it goes back to the compassion. I feel like I can hold space for people and people generally open up to me quite quickly. Like, I'm not a small talk person. I'll get deep and meaningful quite quickly.
Yeah, I get that.
And I used to, you know, be called too emotional or too sensitive, but, you know, all those things are strengths in the right environment.
Amen. And
I'm really proud of the person I am today. The things that I've overcome and the things that I've bounced back from. And yeah, I'm not ashamed of bipolar. And I think if you stay in that shame or if you stay in that space where it's an illness or disorder, you can really start to resent things, you know, resent taking your medication and just feel like everything is really hard. So I try and reframe my bipolar as a neurodivergence. So it's more of like a neutral identity, you know, and finding the people and the environments that allow me to thrive rather than trying to put myself in a box or try and mask or try and pretend to be someone that I'm not. So I'm very aware of who I am.
I love that.
And, who made me.
So good. Just in closing, actually, I know you've written a book. We couldn't not tell people about that. What's it called?
So it's called 30 Things I'd Like You to Know About Bipolar.
And where can people access that, Katie?
So through my website, which is businessinthebath.co.nz.
businessinthebath.co.nz. Katie Rickson, thank you for joining me today on Where Do You Find God?
Amazing. Thanks, Lizzie.
Tune in every Wednesday afternoon at 4:30 on Sanctuary, or listen and subscribe via your favourite podcast platform and give us a review so others can find us.